Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
A major hospital system in New York mandating COVID-19 vaccines for its employees. Tonight, Big Fox's Matt Kleindienst finds out what that means for the tens of thousands of people who work there, and he's digging to find out if our local hospitals are planning a similar mandate.
Good evening, Ann. New York Presbyterian became the first hospital system in the state to mandate the COVID vaccine for all of its employees. This announcement comes as more hospital systems throughout the state wait to take on the similar measure. On Friday, New York Presbyterian announced that all employees are required to get the COVID vaccine. It's one of the largest hospital networks in the country with over 48,000 employees. Barring any exemptions for medical, pregnancy, or religious reasons, workers have until September 1st to get at least one dose. The announcement comes as 72% of hospital workers in New York are fully vaccinated. However, some hospitals have struggled to vaccinate their employees. The story is similar among nursing homes in the state. In Steuben County alone, 5 nursing homes have staff vaccination rates below 50% as of last week. In a statement, New York Presbyterian said that getting staff vaccinated is the most important action to take to protect patients and the communities they serve. I reached out to Guthrie and Arnott Health to see if they were going to follow a similar mandate to that of New York Presbyterian. However, I have not heard back from them at this time. However, we will continue to follow this story as it develops. Matt Kleindienst, Big Fox, WYDC in Corning.
New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio says the city is doing well in the fight to beat COVID-19. Today, the mayor announced that the city's positivity rate is now at 0.59%, the lowest since the start of the pandemic.
So as of today, here's the number of doses from day one. 8,769,536 doses. Every additional dose makes us safer. Everybody who gets fully vaccinated makes us safer. You want evidence? Here it is today, another record-setting day. We have the lowest COVID positivity on record from the very beginning of this crisis. Today is the lowest positivity we've ever had.
The mayor also announced that a ticker tape parade will be held July 7th to honor all of the city's COVID-19 heroes. The list includes, but is not limited to, health professionals, transportation workers, grocery store and bodega workers, as well as educators and first responders. The Pennsylvania Senate is taking up a bill that would ban COVID-19 vaccine passports throughout the state. Joanne Pileggi spoke with some folks about how they feel.
I think it's, your own private medical information, and you shouldn't have to be carrying a passport around about it.
Jay and Jessica Gibbs say they chose not to get vaccinated, and they think it's wrong for the Commonwealth or any government entity to require a vaccine passport.
I don't think that my privileges and regular rights to walk into a store should be based on whether I decided to get a shot in my arm or not.
This week, the Pennsylvania House of Representatives will review a recently passed Senate bill that would ban vaccine passports in the Commonwealth. That means state, county, and municipal agencies and school districts would not be able to require proof of vaccination.
I feel absolutely normal. If I have to show my card with vaccine, I will. It's no problem.
This is exactly like all the other nonsense that's going on across the country in terms of looking for passing a legislation for a problem that doesn't exist.
Bucks County Commissioner Bob Harvey was surprised that state lawmakers even debated the issue of vaccine passports, calling it a divisive play to rile up voters.
I think if they want to make sure that people are safe, they should really do what they can to encourage the population of Pennsylvania that isn't vaccinated to get vaccinated.
The bill would also prohibit higher ed institutions that receive state aid from requiring vaccinations for students. Some people we talked to say any vaccine mandates aren't fair.
I don't think we should carry passports, for vaccines. Not at all. That limits our freedoms. Just too much to demand from us.
In a new CDC study, ER visits for suicide attempts among teenage girls is up nearly 50% from 2019. After analyzing hospital data from various weeks last year and this year, they noted a spike in suicide attempts among 12 to 17-year-olds beginning in May of 2020. Additionally, there was a 3.7% increase in suicide attempts among teenage boys. Public health experts say the study highlights the need for more suicide prevention initiatives. If you or anyone you know is having mental health issues, you are urged to call the hotline below. The Steuben County Health Department is resuming immunization clinics for children and adults. The county will be offering DTaP, MMR, and HPV vaccines to those who are uninsured or underinsured. Clinics will be held at the Steuben County Public Health Office in Bath. Appointments are required and can be made by calling the County Health Department. The first immunization clinic is on June 29th. Today is World Blood Donor Day, and Americans are urged to roll up their sleeves this year. The Red Cross says there's a severe need for blood in the U.S. According to officials, there's been an increase in organ transplants and trauma cases, which has depleted blood supplies. Hospitals also say more blood is needed because some of the patients who deferred getting treatment during the COVID-19 pandemic are now suffering with advanced health problems. The president of the Red Cross Biomedical Services says someone in the U.S. needs blood every 2 seconds. New York State Police have a suspect in custody after a stolen ambulance chase led law enforcement from Utica to Rochester, ultimately ending when the driver drove into water. Natalie Kuko reports.
A pursuit of roughly 130 miles ended here at Newport Yacht Club on Irondequoit Bay when a stolen ambulance from Utica hit the water.
Apparently he just drove into the water.
It was surreal to see somebody come flying through, crashing through our gate, and then go into the water.
State police say their chase began on the thruway shortly before 11 o'clock Sunday morning. They say the woman driving would not comply as they attempted to pull the vehicle over. Police initiated a second attempt to locate her again on Interstate 490 and into the city of Rochester. That's when police say they were led down Seneca Road up to Irondequoit Bay.
For an unknown reason, decides to drive along the thruway. We pursued the vehicle at a reasonable speed. She's not claiming any injuries, but certainly, we're a little concerned why she did what she did.
Sonali Dixit is a member at the yacht club and says for what's normally a busy time there, she says she was shocked no one was hurt.
We're really lucky that nothing happened because there's so many times when something bad could have happened. There could have been a boat here, there could have been people here because people are always walking around here.
Crews spent more than an hour pulling the vehicle out of the water. Members of the Monroe County Sheriff's scuba team helped locate it sunken below, not far from the docks. David Druschler says he was making a delivery at the club when he watched the ambulance crash.
And it was a really horrific sound of that engine revving up. And then it hit the water with such force, water went spraying up so high. She rolled the window down and came out and was trying to get up on top of the ambulance, trying to hold something. And people on shore were yelling out to the power boats, she's drowning, she can't swim. And that's when the power boats came out and fished her out.
Police say it is unclear why the woman crashed or how she ended up here. A spokesperson from the Utica-based ambulance company says it was stolen during a post-shift cleaning and tracked by GPS. The company also says no employees were in the vehicle when it was taken.
I think the fact that she was wearing blue scrubs when she came out of the ambulance wasn't a typical ambulance driver. It was obvious that something wasn't right.
You might be buying fakes when it comes to your favorite products. U.S. Customs and Border Protection is partnering with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce to crack down on counterfeit goods. Lydia Hugh has more from New Jersey.
It's a $500 billion criminal enterprise. Counterfeit goods being shipped into the country on board planes and ships, most of them originating from China and throughout Asia. Customs and Border Protection officers work at ports like this one here in Newark, New Jersey, intercepting millions of these shipments every year. Last year, they seized enough goods that had they been genuine, they would have been worth $1.3 billion. We're talking about fake designer bags, clothing, sporting goods, and electronics like AirPods and jewelry. Now, with the pandemic last year, counterfeit COVID-related items surged. Everything from fake N95s, hand sanitizer, even fake COVID tests, which could have deadly consequences for Americans.
I would say that the problem is an ongoing one. The challenge has somewhat increased with this, the explosion of e-commerce and small packages. Counterfeits have always been an issue, but it's particularly challenging in this small package e-commerce environment just because of so many separate packages that come in.
Federal officers use an automated system to detect suspicious cargo. When the shipments arrive, they examine packages and decide whether to open them. A new partnership with the Chamber of Commerce and retailers helps officers quickly identify fake products. This is the ongoing work to quash this criminal enterprise. The selling and buying of counterfeit products hurts the U.S. economy, is responsible for killing 750,000 American jobs, and supports criminal activity abroad.
Still ahead tonight, efforts to slow the spread of COVID-19 lowered the threat of the flu season last year. But experts warn this flu season will be severe.
In terms of influenza, we're really in uncharted territory.
Hear from one health researcher that believes this upcoming flu season could be the worst we've ever had.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Mattar. Good evening, everyone. I'm meteorologist Kim Walker with your weather update. We do have a system that's moving through the region right now. It is drawing a lot of moisture northward, and it is bringing some shower activity across the area as well. By tomorrow, I'm expecting the shower activity to really pick up, especially in the afternoon. So there is the possibility of rain for tomorrow, and so you definitely want to take the umbrella with you. Our dew points, it is now in the 50s. Over the weekend, it was hanging out in the 60s, so it felt a little bit more muggy, but today is not quite as muggy as it was yesterday, which is usually the case as a system comes through. So here's a look at your temperatures as we head into the next 24 hours. There will be occasional showers, especially in the afternoon. We start off at around 62 degrees with some sunshine at 8 o'clock, and then those clouds will start to thicken up by the late morning hours. 68 degrees by noon, 71 degrees by 2 o'clock, and then we drop down into the upper 60s by 6 o'clock because of that cold front. It's really going to keep those temperatures very close to normal for today. So our future radar is showing there still could be an isolated shower or two for tonight, and that will start to increase by the early morning hours. So notice a few showers from Corning to Elmira near Hornell as well, and a few more showers coming in the late afternoon hours. But it looks like most of the shower activity will be in our eastern counties, and we are expecting most of that activity to wind down by the evening on Tuesday. So a little bit drier conditions as we head into your Wednesday. We're keeping an eye on the tropics because we have a couple of systems that will start to strengthen. Of course, there's Tropical Depression number 2, which is expected to move away from the U.S. and it's not going to be a concern for our area. So that's some good news there, but we are tracking several systems that are in the Atlantic basin right now that could strengthen. So we will continue to watch it for the next week or so. Partly cloudy skies tonight. Temperature is dropping down to around 55 degrees in Corning, as well as in Elmira, 57 degrees in Watkins Glen. Highs tomorrow will climb into the 70s. There will be a few showers in the afternoon, so temperatures just a little bit cooler than normal. Our average high right now is in the upper 70s, so we are going to be a little bit below normal. 71, plenty of dry air and plenty of sunshine for your Wednesday. Overnight lows will drop down into the 40s, so it may be a little bit chilly as we start off your Thursday, but with that sunshine, it's going to make things feel a little bit more comfortable. Expect a warming trend through the end of the week. We have another system coming in by Friday afternoon into your Saturday, warming up to around 81 degrees for the beginning of the weekend, but cooling down into the 70s by the beginning of next week.
The efforts to slow the spread of COVID-19 lowered the threat of the flu season last year, but experts warn the upcoming flu season will be severe, with one health expert urging people not to become complacent. Steve Nannis has more in today's Health Minute.
The next flu season could be particularly severe. This is the warning from health experts who say that during the pandemic, there were almost no deaths from the flu compared to previous years.
Most of the world has seen no flu season. They've seen very little circulation of other respiratory viruses as well.
According to experts, the reasons could be the measures taken against COVID-19 or that the coronavirus interfered with the flu's usual course. Richard Webby, an influenza specialist at St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital in Memphis, believes that when the flu does return, likely this fall, the impact will be bigger because our immunity has waned a bit. Webby says the upcoming flu season could be the worst we've ever had.
In terms of influenza, we're really in uncharted territory. There is this possibility that it's going to come back with a little bit more punch than perhaps we've seen over the last few years.
The theory is as we take off the masks, return to school and work, go out to restaurants, and socialize like we used to, we'll be exposed to other respiratory viruses again. Experts admit that flu activity is impossible to predict, but Webby recommends you get the flu shot when it's available and practice personal hygiene.
And the washing of hands, the covering of sneezes, again, they seem to work really well against all of these respiratory viruses, including flu.
For today's Health Minute, I'm Steve Nannis.
After a weekend of gun violence across America, hundreds of people marched in Memphis to address the issue head-on. Memphis hosted the 4th annual Walk Against Gun Violence in an area that has experienced several shooting deaths. Brandon Richard was there.
Hundreds of people showed up at Hamilton High School in Memphis Saturday morning to take part in the 4th Unity Walk Against Gun Violence.
We have too many people dying.
Before the walk, they gathered to share and listen to stories about how gun violence had impacted people's lives.
I'm doing this walk against gun violence because it means something to me. I have lost a lot of friends, family members to it.
Memphis Mayor Jim Strickland said it's a problem government cannot solve alone.
We need your help. We're in this together. If we're going to turn this around, we've got to do it together. It's not just government. It's not just the police officers and sheriff's deputies.
The Memphis Police Department says at least 111 people have been murdered in Memphis this year. 6 of those murders happened within a 2-mile radius of Hamilton High, in neighborhoods like the one they walked through Saturday. Kent Roberson and Patrick Sigling were among those who laced up their shoes.
We have to stand up. We have to say something. See something, you should say something.
And I really think events like this show, unity, and that unity also, it actually speaks numbers, everyone coming together saying that we want all this to stop.
Shelby County District Attorney Amy Wyrick says the real work starts when the walk is over.
We can't solve this problem by ourselves. It takes everybody leaving this walk, going home, and committing to doing something in their community, one house at a time.
Small steps that could help put the city on a path towards a more peaceful future.
As more people return to air travel, unruly passengers are increasingly becoming a problem. Most recently, on Friday, when an off-duty Delta flight attendant apparently commandeered the intercom system on a packed Atlanta-bound flight. Polo Sandoval reports.
It's shaping up to be a rough summer in the skies. A Friday Atlanta-bound Delta Airlines flight became the latest to be interrupted by an unruly passenger. That problem passenger was one of the airline's own flight attendants, flying off-duty at the time, according to a Delta spokesman. Witnesses on board reported he commandeered the aircraft's intercom and told them to prepare to use their oxygen masks, triggering a clash between him, the crew, and some of his fellow passengers. One witness told CNN he feared the worst during the very tense encounter.
People behind me were saying, well, that's really bad. I mean, that only happens when a plane goes down. I prayed that God would protect my family in case I was gone.
On Thursday night, a separate Delta flight from LA to New York was also diverted after what was described by the airline as a customer issue on board.
Stop this plane.
On June 4th, a third Delta flight, this one from LA to Nashville, was forced to make an emergency landing after a passenger tried breaching the cockpit door, according to authorities. And Delta is not alone. Crews from American and Southwest Airlines have been among those recently subjected to belligerent passengers.
We are gonna sue you!
And in at least one case, physical abuse from troublesome travelers. In May, the head of the Federal Aviation Administration said he's worried as these kinds of air rage incidents seem to be repeating themselves.
This dangerous behavior can distract, disrupt, and threaten crew members' safety functions. And as a former airline captain, it's extremely concerning to me.
The spokesperson for the agency says that it's received at least 2,900 reports of unruly behavior by passengers this year. 2,200 of them have been related to noncompliance with the federal mandate requiring masks on public transportation. planes included. The spike in bad onboard behavior prompted the FAA to extend a zero-tolerance policy.
Are you serious?
The spokesperson says enforcement action has been started in over 36 cases already. Question now, will it get even more unfriendly in disguise with a busy summer travel season on the horizon?
More smiles will soon be visible at the most magical place on Earth. Starting tomorrow, vaccinated guests at Disney World in Orlando will no longer be required to wear face coverings in most areas, although visitors will not be required to show proof of vaccination. The mask policy follows Orange County's revised COVID-19 guidelines, which lifted all local mask recommendations on June 5th. Disney still expects guests who are not fully vaccinated to continue wearing face coverings in all indoor areas. In Iowa, a grandmother who reads bedtime stories is garnering hundreds of fans on social media. Grandma Betty, as her Facebook followers know her, is helping children of all ages relax before bedtime. Tasia Mozinga reports.
Before you say goodnight, and it's time for bed.
Guess how much I love you? The kissing hand.
Grandma Betty goes through her favorite children's books, scattered in her living room with colorful stuffed animals to set up the stage.
Little Red Riding Hood, Bunny's book of best stories. I'll go back and read some of those.
And she finally picks the perfect tale to read to her fans at night.
You are special. This is the one where the dots fall off. And at the very end, you are precious in his sight.
But when Grandma Betty starts reading, it's more than the stuffed animals listening. Her stories reach nearly 400 fans on Facebook. Her granddaughter Haley captures every word, every story, all on her phone and posts it. No matter the age, both children and adults tune in every week.
Oh my, Dewey thought, what should I do now?
And of course,
wait, I have to put my glasses on so I can be on page 3.
The 83-year-old who loves to rock a green eyeshadow always gets into character.
No, said his sister. It's Dewey, read more books. Dewey squirmed.
It's safe to say Grandma Betty understands the assignment, just to make you laugh and smile before you sleep.
Look, Nathan, said his mommy. There's a cat in the library.
Like any loving grandmother would.
And some of the people who have said they have lost their mom or their grandma come and would give me a hug, and they cried and I cheered up for them too and everything. I said, well, if I can help you, I'll be happy to be a Grandma Betty for you.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. It's the Pekingese who was voted top dog on Sunday in the 145th edition of the Westminster Dog Show. Wasabi, a 3-year-old Pekingese, outlasted about 2,500 canine competitors to take home the coveted Best in Show honors. It is the 5th time the breed has won the title, and it's the first time a dog from the toy group won top honors since 2013. Bourbon the Whippet was given the reserve slot. The Westminster Dog Show is the second oldest continuous sporting event in the country, right after the Kentucky Derby. From our whole team, thank you for joining us. We hope you have a great night.